How to protect your organization against phishing attacks and new malware trends. With the massive increase in malware attacks, especially in the COVID time in 2020 and projected to be in 2021, how you can protect your organization against these attacks, against the phishing attacks, wireless attacks, banking trojan, and most importantly, ransomware? I got asked this question in an interview, and here's the answer.
Right, Amir. So what is your security recommendation regarding the attacks we discussed today?
I would say the first thing is, like, of course, this topic, it can be like a massive topic, can take a book by itself, but just basic recommendations. First, you need to have the security controls in place, the technical part. To have the antivirus fully updated, that does the scan. You have a firewall. You have the basic controls, the EDR, the endpoint detection response. That also gives you more of the behavioral side of detection. You have a sandboxing for the files, the attachment files that have been sent through email that can scan and see what is happening on the machines. All of that needs to be equipped as well with threat intelligence information that tells us what is the attack that's happening around you and how you can still aware of them and protect it. You need to have a good patching system, you need to have a good patching management, and make sure that you update the higher priority attacks based on the threat intelligence information and based on the high priority vulnerabilities in general. So that's for the technical side. Of course, that all needs to be equipped with policies, procedures, and processes to make sure that all of them are working in harmony and as well following a specific process for protection. So all of that is good. But all of that alone is not enough, because here's the thing: if you have mostly the weakest element in your organization is the human factor, and if that is not well equipped, you still be vulnerable. You still will be vulnerable to so many attacks. Having a spam filter doesn't protect you from all the attachments attacks, because your employees are using social media, they're using different links, and they are browsing different websites. You need to have a good awareness in place, good awareness program, and really focus on the human factor in the protection side of it. So that's for the protection. And it is multi-layered protection. But here's the thing: despite all of these layers, the attacker, if he spends enough time and enough investment, he will get his foot into the organization. It just happens. There is no organization that is fully protected, especially getting into one of the employees' machines, one of the low users' accounts. And from here, from this account and his lateral movements into the most critical servers, most critical assets in your organization, you need to stop the attacker before he reaches that point. You need to have a good incident response team that's able to protect against these attacks. And the incident response team starts first with your SOC analyst team that actually get an alert about these attacks. If you have good controls, if you have good monitoring, if you know what's happening in your network, you know what ports are open, you know what's happening, then you have less noise for them to notice the attack. Once you have that in place, you have the incident response team that with their they are well trained, and as well they follow a process they have already trained on it. And what I mean with that, they can act very fast once there is an attack. If there is a ransomware, you need from the help desk to recognize that, to report that, and there is a process, a fast process to really respond to this attack and minimize the risk. With the incident response, even we see with the incident response that it starts with alert, it starts with the detection of something. But so many attacks can bypass these alerts. And we see that over and over again. And once they pass that, whatever with a FUD malware, with a spear phishing attack that's very well crafted, they get their foot in and they stay for months. That will time, I think, around 8 months on average. That's what we have seen in different reports. And with that, we need to decrease that time. Because if they stay for as long, not only they get into your information, your critical information, but also they can start the ransomware activities, which is even more cost for you. And with that, you need to have a way to detect these attacks before they actually have that long dwell time. With this, it comes what's called the threat hunting. And threat hunting, it's basically the whole process is an instant response without an actual incident. It is an instant response with a hypothesis that we have already been compromised. This hypothesis comes based on learning the attacker's strategies, tactics, and procedures. Learning how the attacker actually, not like by MD5 or the malware, like how people think, or like the sample itself or some basic detection. It's not about detection. It's about the attacker behavior, the attacker strategy. We say we think that there is a strategy for an attacker to reach the organization through this way, and then we build our threat hunting or our instant response process based on this hypothesis. So you need to have all of these controls in place. That's for the organization. For the individuals, also they need to have a degree of awareness. They need to make sure that they actually check every email. They have zero trust policy, especially in all the emails and different communication that could look legitimate, but it is malicious. They need to hold the phone, check with the boss, check with their colleague if that's actually from them. They need to increase the gap between the professional life and the personal life, especially when it comes to the working laptop. Make sure it's always connected to VPN. Make sure that they leave their social media outside of their laptops. Make sure that they don't click on different links on social media, wherever it is, wherever LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. They leave that all to their personal computers. Make sure that you don't use USBs or whatever the way they share information, and stay following the company policy and procedures.